We're going to try and make this short as we can here. We're going to do the skinning for the decals on the door, the step, and the wing of the IW900. If you prefer a text version of the guide, you can go over to ironwerxmodding.com, up at support, and into guides here. We will have more coming along with the tutorials, but there's some step-by-step guides here for you to follow if that's how you prefer to do it. So we're going to use a few things here. We're going to use paint.net. A lot of people have it already. It's free and it's easy to use. If you want to use Photoshop, Inkscape, GIMP, you go ahead. Some sort of compression utility. We're just going to be unpacking the OpenDef. So it's not super important. Most Windows users will have a utility built in that you can extract the contents of the OpenDef, and that'll be sufficient. If you have WinRAR 7-zip, that's great. An image or logo for your decal. You're going to need one of those, obviously. And we're not going to be packing a mod. We're going to be unpacking this to our mod folder, and we'll be able to hot load that in the game to check our changes without closing the game or repacking a mod. So we'll go through that at the end. So first thing, we're going to go to our American Truck Simulator mod folder. I'm going to create a new folder. You can right click new folder or Control Shift N on Windows. This folder can be named anything you like. This is an identifier for you only. The manifest will take care of the display name and the logo or the mod icon. When you have your new folder created, we can go ahead and open the OpenDef archive. Once your archive is open, we can open the folder we created and extract all the contents to the new folder. I just drag and drop mine, refresh if you don't see everything, and we can close the archive. So we're going to be focusing on the decals and the UV maps folder. The decals will be where you save your completed images. The UV maps is your template. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and open the door decal UV. And I'm also going to open my logo I'm going to use. So we can do a couple things here. First thing you want to do is add a new layer. If you don't have a layers window, top right in paint.net, you can toggle that on and off. We're going to create a new layer and make sure your new layer has been selected, that you're working on that layer. You don't want to save your image with your template. This logo that I have here is 1024 by 1024. So we're going to figure out the size we need for the door. I want to place this on the door. So I'm going to grab my selection tool here, and I'm going to roughly drag a box where I want this. Down in the bottom left corner, you can see bounding rectangle size, 773 by 758. And again, this don't have to be perfect. You're just getting a rough number, 785, 775. So 750 or roughly 700-ish. So I mean, if you have another small logo, again, you can drag a size, a rough box, have a peek at your bounding rectangle size, and kind of get a feel for what you're after. So I'm going to call this area about 700. I know that works out good. So we're going to take our image and we want to resize this to 700 pixels by 700 pixels. Before I do that, I'm going to do my editing to it. You want to do all your editing to your logo, your image, whatever, before you resize it. The quality changes, especially if you scale the image down. So you'll retain a lot of your detail if you do your editing before you scale an image down. We're going to do two things here. I'm going to remove, before I do that, remove this white background with the magic wand. Okay. I'm also going to create more of a rectangle image that's oddball sized for those of you that have an odd sized image. So first thing, I'm going to call this done. I don't need to edit it no more. So we're going to Control R or image resize. Maintain your aspect ratio. You want that to stay the way it is. You don't want it skewed or scaled to look like a rectangle when it's square. And we're going to set that to 200 or 700, sorry. Okay, so when you have an image like this, you can go ahead and either trim, crop out, and I mean you can do a better job than I did if you prefer. You can go to image and crop to selection and end up with somewhat of a square image or a square image. Or the most important part is when you resize this, maintain this aspect ratio. But we're going to take our largest number and change it to 700. And as long as we're maintaining aspect ratio, it'll scale the height to the proper size so that when we take this over here, we're still within our 700 and it's the correct size. So I'm going to use this square image. Control A to select all, Control C to copy it. We're going to go over to our template and make sure you're on your new layer to edit with, and Control V to paste it. So we'll place this image, and then you'll notice down in the bottom left corner it says selection top left. That selection top left is this corner of your bounding box of what you've selected or pasted in this case. And what that's saying is there's 64 pixels in from the left edge and 383 down from the top. Okay, and we can remember that or set that to a value that's easy to remember so that we can place this image in the exact same location on the other side of our template. So I'm going to go ahead and move this. If you zoom in, you have much more control over the placement of things. So 48 pixels in by 380 down is where I have that set. So I'm going to go ahead and either copy this again or just paste what I have on the clipboard. And we know 380 was our height and we were 48 pixels in. So I'm going to get us close to 380 here. Close enough. Now this is simple math. I don't need a calculator, but I'm going to pull it out anyway so we can figure out exactly where this image needs to be if it was a different size. So we know this image is 2048 by 1024, so 2048 pixels wide. We're going to subtract our distance in from the edge over here, which was 48 pixels. And we're also going to subtract our image size because we're after the left corner. Okay, so we're 2048 minus our 48 pixels minus the size of our logo, which in my case is 700, so we're left with 1300. So this top left corner should be at 1300 and 380. There. That image is exactly in the same place. Now you'll notice this logo technically isn't directional, but this door, the left door, this is the front of the truck. The right door, this is the front of the truck. So my logos are facing the wrong direction. So I'm actually going to mirror this, but I don't want to mirror my text. So I'm going to cut and paste that on a new layer. I'm going to select my background layer with my logo. I'm going to go up to the top to layers and I'm going to flip horizontal. I'm going to call that good. Now we got to merge this layer down or go to image flatten so we end up with a single layer image. Control A to select, Control C to copy, and I'm going to go over here and delete that and paste my new image. The size hasn't changed, so I know I need to be at 1300 and 380. Okay. I'm also just going to add a driver's name up here. So you guys can finish out your details and what you need to do. And when you're done, we're going to take this background, this template layer, and delete it. Okay. We're going to go File, Save As. We're going to go to our mod folder, to the folder we created, and into the Decals folder. Make sure your save type is set as direct draw. And we have 3 positions we can save our door decal in. I'm going to select door decal 0. I'm going to overwrite that. Our settings will be BC3, linear DXT5, generate bitmaps, and super sampling. Now your error metric can be either uniform or perceptual. We're going to click OK. So that image is done. I'm just going to adjust this image a little bit, and I'm going to save it as into the next door decal slot with the same settings, just so we have another option there. So I'm going to open the step template. We're going to create a new layer, so we're editing on that. And in order to edit this section, we're going to rotate this image. So we'll place this down here. We'll call that done on that section. So we're going to make sure we rotate this image back the way it was. Okay, or the mapping won't be correct. Again, I'm just going to add some basic text here. I'm also going to snag this logo again, but I'm going to resize it to 300 pixels roughly. And I'll call this done. So we're going to make sure we delete our template layer, file, save as, to the folder we worked on or created in the mod folder, decals. Make sure your direct draw DDS. Find which slot you want to save to. Step decal 0 is the one I'm choosing. Again, the same settings. and we will go and open the wing template. Obviously the top section is the turbo wing, the lower section is the fiberglass wing. You can see that it's labeled, this is the back side and this is the front side of that fiberglass wing. Again, I'm just going to quickly place some basic text here. I'll change the color of that one and undo that. I'm just going to bring this over. Oh, see, and I already made a mistake. New layer. I would have saved my image with that template there. So I'm just going to place this here. And again, what I can show you for those of you that aren't sure, if I place my text here, okay, and we're on this layer, we're working on this layer, and I want to bring an image in, you can see that it's cutting my words off. You can create a new layer and place on a new layer, okay, and we won't have that issue. So I will call that good, and I'm going to delete my template layer. Now you got to merge this down into one layer. The easiest way is image, flatten, or Control Shift F, and we're going to file save as into our Decals folder, DDS, wing decal, replace it with the same settings, DXT5, and we're done. Okay, and again, you can create three logos or decals for each of those positions, those parts rather, so that you don't need to come and change your decal in paint.net or whatever image editing program you're using. You can swap them in the shop. We can now go ahead and start the game, provided you have done this in your mod folder. Head to the mod manager. We're going to replace the original OpenDef with the new one. So you can see it still says the same thing as the old one because of the manifest. You can click the information icon and you can read the package name to determine if that's the correct package. So replace that and confirm. We can go ahead and load, don't worry about this. Okay, so in the shop or the dealer, we are going to check the door decals out. The node's right there. So you can see it's facing the front of the truck. And we mirrored it to face the same direction. Okay. That cutout on the template is where the door handle is. Obviously, we have a shaved handle option, so That's why there's a larger gap on the template. The step decals, and again we can change, and this is the position that was off. We had to rotate for. And the wing, I guess we have. Wing accessories. I'm missing some options here. I will have to fix that. But either way, there's the decal. Alright, so quickly, we will talk about hot loading. You can find a tutorial or whatever on the console. I may do a little one and some of the commands that I use and make my process a little faster. But we can do a few things. I want to change this. I don't like the color of this, say, or the position. Generally, if it's a quick edit, I don't do nothing but Alt Tab out from right here. Okay, or we can run the command exit to drop to the launch pad. Quit will drop to your desktop. Both of those almost immediately, and they will save your game state. Um, the game command will reload the profile you're in, an autosave. So the other thing you can do with the game command is make a game save and load a game save, a specific save. We're not going to go into detail with that right now. We're going to do two things. We're going to Alt Tab out. I'm going to go to my image here. Actually, I guess we will open the one that I want to edit. I'm going to bring in my template, put it on a new layer just for positioning. And let's say I want to move these. I'm not going to get real picky, in this guy, but down and back. Maybe I don't like the color again, so we will just quickly shift that. I cut it off, but no big deal. So we'll call that good. I'll delete my layer here and I'll save it. We can just Control S or File Save because we're using our decal here now, not our template like we were the first time. So Alt Tab or go back into your game. And I'm just going to run the command game. And then I will head back to the shop or the dealer. And decal 0 is what we edited. You can see I even cut it off, change the color, size, position. So again, you do need to reload, but we don't need to drop right out of the game. We don't need to drop to the launch pad. We don't need to pack the mod. we're working right out of that folder that we created, and it can stay that way in the mod folder. Okay. Um, so again, I may do a tutorial on all the commands I use. There's quite a few, but exit, and here we are. All right. Well, I think that'll end this video. Thanks for watching.